I've paid my bills entirely through music for the past 7 years. No side jobs, no safety net, just me grinding it out from the bottom up. In this video, I want to break down exactly how I did it. I want to talk about the mistakes, the breakthroughs, how I manage, how I've been able to consistently do this as long as I have. I want to talk about how it's gotten me to where I am now. And 7 years deep in this, the studio that I love, artists that I love to work with, how I've surrounded myself with exactly like the world that I want to be in. It hasn't always looked like this. What's up? My name is Brody. If you're new to this channel, if you don't know me, I am a music producer, songwriter, artist, mixing engineer. I've worked for artists such as Bill Murray, Nothing Nowhere, Wicca Phase Springs Eternal, Kellen Quinn, Drippin' So Pretty, Silverstein. The list goes on. A lot in the worlds of like emo, shoegaze, emo rap, post-hardcore, hyperpop, all of that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess that's all kind of related to this story as well, how I've made it through all these different worlds. Let's get into it. I guess I'll break this up into like a few chunks. So if we're going by years, I want to go from like year -5 to 0, if that makes sense. The time leading up to me making this a job. High school and early college, I played in bands. I did a lot in like metalcore, deathcore, post-hardcore bands. I played guitar. I was the writer. We played some shows. Actually, one of my bands wound up playing the Vans Warped Tour, the local spot in Pittsburgh growing up. That was such a bucket list exciting moment for me. But yeah, I want to talk about the pre-years that kind of showed me the ropes and let me understand everything. Learned the ropes. I learned like how to make a song with people, how to manage a lot of personalities in the music world, how to play a show, how to play a tour, how to work with a producer, with a mixing engineer, with a photo video person, learning both sides, the artist. I think that's what's really helped me go through this world, is understanding first the artist's perspective. I'm not coming in as an engineer and producer first. I'm coming in as someone who's like been around and knows what it's like to be on the other side. And I feel like that has helped me position myself where I am now. Then I want to talk about year 1 and 2, where I kind of accidentally found myself in the world, how I was just trying to make my music, trying to not work a job, to spend as much time as I could making my music. Found like gap in the market, if you will, of like all my artist friends needing mixes, and then things kind of snowballing from there. So yeah, after playing in bands, like I mentioned, kind of learning the ropes as a teenager, playing some gigs, going on some small tours and whatnot, I went to college for music technology. I learned like audio engineering, how to be in a studio. The real benefit for me going to the music college was that I was able to just be around so many other creative people, so many other people that kind of challenged my worldview of like what music is, broadened my horizons of like all the types of music that's out there, all the paths that are out there, all the career opportunities that are out there. And that is also what led me to what kickstarted my career. One of my closest college friends and roommate for some time, Andy, he had a project called The Breathing Backwards that was emo rap kind of, that was like in the emo rap world of like 2017-ish is when it really started there. At the time, I was kind of weaning off of like the metal bands that I was playing in. I still was in a band, but I feel like at that point in time, it was less like a passion for me. I liked the music, but I needed something fresh. I was also making rap beats on the side. I had two very separate things. I had my metal band I was playing in, and I had the rap beats that I was doing. The time Andy showed me the project he was working on, showed me a lot of like SoundCloud world, like Spooky Black, Nothing Nowhere, Bones, Young Lean, all of that kind of thing. And it really showed me like, oh, this is like the Wild West. Like anything is possible. You don't have to. I feel like this was the biggest like changing my worldview of like how to do music. From what I feel like was kind of a more rigid stance before, it really opened up to like combining genres, trying new things, putting pieces together that shouldn't necessarily fit. And that was when I like totally jumped ship from where I was. I stopped making the rap beats I was making. I quit the metal band that I was in, and we just doubled down on making these emo rap songs. We made an album called Black Heart Emoji that kind of solidified us as like people in the scene, if you will, I guess. But the album that we made, that was what kind of put me on the map initially and introduced me to a lot of artist friends and like put me within like this scene, if you will. And right when this album came out was around the time that I had graduated college. I knew, because I was going to school for music technology, that getting a 9-to-5 job kind of like wasn't in the cards. Most similar to that would be like working in a recording studio maybe, but I never was interested in like the typical studio like ladder climbing grind kind of thing. I don't know. I'm nothing against that, but I have always liked working by myself and doing like the freelance kind of lifestyle. Even before I freelanced, I knew how much that I loved working for myself and like following my ideas. So when I graduated college, this was like years 1 and 2 of like getting my footing. I did anything I could to make that happen. I moved in with a couple friends, had like the cheapest rent imaginable. I was freshly graduated, so I had no bills really aside from just this rent and like as cheap of food as possible. So I was just like trying to sell beats, making songs for myself, and like figuring out as how am I gonna make money to like pay this rent at the end of the month. And my answer to that was like, oh, I realized that in the SoundCloud world, it was a lot of people in bedroom studios without like formal background. It had me have this like light bulb of like, oh yeah, I just graduated with the audio engineering degree. I know how to mix and master. I know how this world works, but at the same time feel like I had the ear for the underground and like the sounds that are meant for there. And I started mixing songs for my friends. I did the album with the Breathing Backwards that I mentioned. I had mixed and mastered a good bit of that. I had mixed and mastered for a handful of other friends and like bigger emo rappers at the time. And I did those as kind of like a, I don't know, like a little bit of free work in the beginning in terms of like getting return on investment, getting like it known that I was mixing. I like build my resume points, you know what I mean? Nowadays, I feel like I would do less free work for that reason, but back then, I don't know, when you got to get your start, you have to get it out there somehow. And if the reason of doing it wasn't money, it was getting my resume points. And through that and getting some songs that I'd mixed or produced through this world, I started getting people reaching out to me asking. I was always plugging it. I'd be on my Instagram story being like, hey, I'll mix your song. It was such a low rate. I remember when I was nervous about upping my mixing rates from $40 to $50, like it was going to be the end of the world. People were going to be mad at me thinking I sold out. But you do what you got to do. I was like, oh, if I just do a couple of these a week, I'm set. I don't need any more money. I'd go through Taco Bell, get my full order, and live like a king. I don't know. But that was how that went. And that was how 2018 into 2019 was for me. Year 3 to 4, I guess, would be like me less like floating around aimlessly and more finding my footing, going from the phase of I'll take any work, just no boundaries, just like give me something so I can pay my bills, to being able to kind of funnel into the worlds that I want, being able to say no to things, getting cooler clients, starting to like get songs with notable names and whatnot. But yeah, from there, I was still in the emo rap world. I moved to New York City in 2019, saw that I was kind of hitting a point where I was getting some growth on the internet and wanted to kind of bring that into real life. That was where New York City is where a lot of music producers and rappers that I knew lived. It's a place that people are always in and out of, whether it be for the studio, for tour, or whatever. So I wanted to really sell that like face-to-face kind of thing there. I don't know. I feel like that was where I really got my footing, like brand-wise, and like people knowing me, if that makes sense. So yeah, years 3 and 4, living in New York City, I kind of found my niche more and more. I was still in the same scene, but I was able to kind of grow it more, charge more, work with cooler clients. I was getting better at my production, getting my name out there more. No, rates went up. I started getting repeat clients, started going on some tours. This is around the time that I did a tour with the Breathing Backwards and Garden. This was around the time that I went to Nothing Nowhere's studio and made music with him. And New York is where I met Wicca Phase, who has become one of my closest collaborators, great friend, someone that has become like key point of like my creative journey. Yeah, I guess New York was just a way to reach out, meet a ton of people, and through meeting so many people, I guess, like really be able to filter in what I like, what I dislike, the types of things that I'm into, and just like surround myself with what I want to be like associated with, what makes me happiest, what makes me feel like the most myself. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was year 3 and 4. Then year 5 to 7, where I am now, of really doubling down on what I want to do on my personal brand, raising my rates, having consistent clients that I love, having the most routine, having the most freedom to go the way that I want to go within this. Talking about like building my client base, managing all of that, managing the creative side along with the business side, and just like really all of the systems that I've put in place that now become autopilot enough that I can just like fully do my thing and be happy and work the way that I want to work. Now where we are, year 5 to 7, I've moved back to Ohio, living in Columbus. This is close to my family. I have all of my like outside of music friends here. I don't know, very great place. I love it here. And I think that kind of goes along with the themes of year 5 and 7. I don't have to play the game as much anymore. I got my systems in place. I have my network. I have my friends, my collaborators. I've built my YouTube channel. I continue to tour. I feel like, especially now that I'm not in New York, me touring maybe like collectively a month or two out of the year lets me do the networking and like face to face with my friends and like music people that I want to in that specific like intentional amount of time, but then come back here and just like be me and do my thing and get to be normal for a bit, I guess. But yeah, I got my systems in place. I got my YouTube channel going. I've got my remote production sessions going that I've been really excited about that have become a large chunk of all of this. And I don't know, I'm at a happy point where I am. I've filtered my work. I say no to things that don't fit me. I'm able to find things that do fit me. And I'm excited to see where things go from here. This year in specific has been a big year of growth for me. Now that we're up to the current, I had another year of, it's funny, I'm talking about years like 1 through 7, like it's a constant up. And it, in a way, is, but it's more like a up with some things kind of going. And the past year, that dip really went down. I want to say year 6 was a big year of me being tested. I feel like it was me like shedding my skin of like the last section of it. I was feeling like mentally and creatively I was moving from the space that I was when I was making a lot of rap music living in New York, and kind of feeling a little more like introspective, but my work wasn't reflecting it, and I was kind of feeling disconnected with some of just the beat commissions and via email things that I was doing. And making this YouTube channel and doing these video sessions with people more has really connected me back to why I love this, and has really helped me put myself out there enough via the internet, the same way that I did in New York, of like connecting like with like, you know what I mean? Like the more that I am myself on the internet, the more that people that are similar to me find me, the more that I find people that are similar to me. And I don't know, it's just really opened up a whole new door for collaborating and finding new music friends and clients and all of that. Story time is over though. I wanted to talk about like the timeline of that just for people who are interested. But I also want to talk about like the nitty gritty. I want to talk about like how I make my money, like what that looks like. One thing that was always drilled into our brains when I was in music tech school over and over, which we always kind of said as a meme, but now that I'm out of it, I realize how true it is that multiple sources of income is the biggest thing as a freelancer, as an audio engineer, as a producer, songwriter, anything. You can't put your eggs all in one basket, because at any point in time it could up and go and you're totally out of work. I think what's helped me sustain this as long as I have is being able to balance among a lot of things. If one thing starts growing, I'll put more attention to it, but still water the other flowers. But at the same time, if everything is all in that one basket, if everything is all of that one flower, and it goes, you're out, and you have a month where you make no money, and that doesn't work for your landlord, for your groceries, for your anything. I don't know. But yeah, the bulk of the money that I make per month is through my production sessions and my mixing and mastering. I'm doing about 3 to 5 production sessions a week. In between that, I try to manage mixing and mastering, whether that is through a production session or through just an individual, like someone wants me to mix their album. Commissions are in general, the largest piece of the puzzle. It's the part that can be the most volatile, but that kind of is the nature of the beast. That, like, for example, you mix an artist's album, they're probably not going to have another album for you to mix and master for them for, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year, depending on what their release schedule is like. So yeah, that one just takes the repetitions, the reps. Like, at year 1 to 2, that's why I was doing the quantity, because you had to. But now it's got to the point where I wrap up a project with one artist, then another one shows up, and I'm able to book my calendar. At this point, I'm really lucky that I've been able to book my calendar like 1 to 2 months out ahead of time, and that just feels like a big relief of like not having to, in the past, and honestly the past like 5 years of having to like go into bed being like, oh, I wonder who's gonna message me tomorrow. Like, I need to figure out a way to like be able to pay for myself, be able to live, and having that, just like the snowball finally hit that point, feels so nice. But yeah, client production and mixing is the number one piece of the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle is royalties, which again is another snowball thing. But like, anytime a song releases that I produced on, or I release one of my own songs, I get percentage of that. And that's a slow growing thing. You don't see the royalties until a few months after the song's already been out. And unless it is a song that does really well, you're probably not going to see much of anything. But you collect those here and there. You get songs that get some plays. I've got enough songs throughout the years that have gotten like a few million plays, and then that adds up until every month you get a little bit. Between like DistroKid and all of the other distribution platforms that everyone's on, that I have splits on, and like your BMI, your publishing, your song trust, all of that, I wind up getting like, I pay a few bills with it. I could at least like pay my rent with the royalties, but that's about it. It kind of ebbs and flows. When I was doing the more trendy stuff, when I was in the rap world, there'd be months where that was going really up and down. But now it's kind of hit a point where it's nothing crazy, but it's consistent, which feels good. From there, we get our touring and our live shows. Honestly, this is not a bigger piece of the puzzle. Whenever I go on tour, as I tour with bigger artists, this is changing. But whenever I go on tour, usually I'm taking a little bit of a loss of like, the money that I make on tour is not as good as the money that I would make when I'm in the studio for that same amount of time if I was booked consistently. But where that equals out is the sheer amount of like networking and like people you can talk to there. I'm meeting face to face so many music friends and collaborators that I work with on the internet, meeting a lot of friends, a lot of fans, a lot of potential clients. I've made so many new clients through my touring. So I think that even if that is not like the biggest moneymaker up front, it's given me the opportunity to make a whole lot more good business relationships that have led to more work. So I feel like that is totally worth it. But yeah, then we get other things like small shows I might do, merch, little things add up. But the biggest pieces of the puzzle are the mixing and mastering and royalties. I think a thing that's really important in this world too, I feel like a lot of artists, a lot of creative types can be a little more on the unorganized side. And I think what has allowed me to continue to consistently do this is be organized and treat it like a job. I feel like if you look, depending on perspective, you could look at it as like, oh, this is sucking the fun out of it, making it a job. But at the same time, I feel like it's almost freeing myself from the stress, because if I have the system in place, if I know like, oh, these are the times that I'm doing X thing, it helps me know that I'm not going to fall off, I'm not going to get lazy, I'm not going to stop doing the thing that I'm doing. Pretty much since the inception of my music career, since I graduated college, I've used my calendar I've used it religiously. I am basically Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 is my work day. I am in the office, I'm in the studio, I'm doing my work. If there's an evening session or a weekend session that I have, which I try not to do, but sometimes with time zones or availability, it has to be. If something like that happens, I will sub it out so that I have some time off during the week. But I try to give myself like work hours. I think that being like, okay, these 40 hours a week, I'm for sure working on music, really just keeps me consistent. It's like, I would rather do that, give myself my time to myself and work an exact amount of time like every week and see like the slow gains than like go crazy, be up all day every day for a week trying to grind it out and then crash and stop. But yeah, I think that consistency is helpful. I will do 5 days a week in the studio. I have some rules for myself of like doing, how I said, I do like 3 to 5 sessions a week. It really depends on the length of the session and like how important like priority wise it is. If I do 5, I have to give myself a break the next week because I have this rule that I only will spend 50% of my like work time on music. I've heard, I forget the exact place I found this quote, but I've heard and I have found it to be the most true that when working on your business, when like working, 50% of your work time should be on the business. And I found there's been times where like, okay, someone books me to mix an entire album for them. And then that whole week, I'm just totally nose of the grind mixing this whole album. What happens is I finish it and I've not spent any time on like talking to my other clients, figuring out new work, doing this or that, like, I don't know, studio maintenance, that the next week comes around and all of a sudden I don't have any work. I finished the work and now there's no other work because I wasn't maintaining all of these at a time. So like if I'm doing like three sessions a week, for example, I might do like Monday, no session. I wake up, I get in the studio, I check my emails, I go through all my DMs, my text messages, make sure I'm responding to everyone, seeing what's going on work-wise, getting just like back in the loop. If any songs have come out of like that I've worked on or that friends of mine have worked on or that I just want to hear in general, I'll play those, kind of get in the zone. I'll look at my calendar, how I talk about I use that religiously to make sure that I know all I'm supposed to do. I'll look at all of my to-do lists for the week, try to schedule out, see like when I imagine it would make sense. A lot of times too over the weekend, I might add things, like I might like more haphazardly throw on something I have to do. It's like someone will book me over the weekend, or I'll have an idea of like, oh, I should make a YouTube video about this. I'll quickly jot it down on my calendar. And then Monday when I get there, I'll make it more concrete, be like, oh, here's my thing I'm doing. It goes here. But yeah, Monday is my planning day. That is like reaching out to clients, responding to clients, figuring out how my work's going. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, I get into it. These would be session days. Wake up, do my session with an artist, pretty much straight to it. I get my coffee, get into it, and I'm writing, I'm creating. That's what I'm working on. And yeah, those days are usually fully committed to writing. When the session is done, usually my sessions, I try not to go more than 5-hour session a day because when I'm doing these remote sessions, they're very like, I don't know, I'm steering the ship the whole time usually, and it's 5 hours of like non-stop going. So I can be really fried if I do 2 in a day. But yeah, I'll do 5-hour session, get out of that, go do a workout, shower, get some food, and then I'll come back and for a couple hours do some mixing, do some mix edits, do something that is on my to-do list. But then I'll make sure that the video that I've made that week is prepped, is ready to go, is my Patreon post alongside that is ready to go as well. Plan all of my social media posting, all of that. That usually takes a couple hours, so just like making sure it's all ready. Hitting my Discord channel up, talking to everyone there, getting my post there as well. It's kind of more all right, I've been in the studio the past couple days, time to post about it. I'll my YouTube channel, I'll post some snippets on Instagram, I'll just reach out through DMs again to some clients, like, I don't know, that's my social media time. And then do another session, do some more mixing, and then, yeah, I guess talking about my YouTube videos too, that's another thing I'll do, like post. Like if I'm doing a session one day, and how I mentioned I might like do my mixing afterwards, a YouTube channel video is another thing where I might have a really good session, artist is fine with me posting it, I'll go in and I'll immediately after make and edit that video. Yeah, that's what is going there. Friday then is kind of the inverse of Monday. I'm kind of winding down, I'm like reflecting on the week, I'm figuring out like what I did well, what I didn't. I might spend some time to be creative for myself and just like play with some ideas, brainstorm what my next steps are. It's a day that like, if I'm feeling driven to, I will write, I will make music, but it's mostly for like thinking like, what are my next steps? Like, what should my new YouTube video be about? What should I be focusing on? Friday is a big release day for a lot of artists. So like, I'll be sharing the songs that I've worked on that came out that day. I'll be seeing what else everyone else is doing and be reaching out to people, be like, hey, I love your song, let's work. Or just like, I don't know, that is another day that's focused on that I can relax while I'm on tour. I'm kind of putting more hours than I would like to in right now. But tour aside, weekends, that is my time to relax. I found that when I work on music over the weekends as well, it will just lead to me getting burnt out. It'll lead to me crashing, lead to me hitting my weekdays and just not doing what I'm supposed to do. So unless I'm really driven, unless it's like a separate of work music thing, if I'm just like, oh, here's a song idea I love, I'm not gonna work on the weekend. I also, related to that, I will schedule a session in my calendar if it is for me. If I know like, oh, I want to work on a single, I'll either schedule a writing session with a collaborator of mine or just totally solo, mark on my calendar like, okay, we're doing a session here today. Sometimes ideas don't flow like that, but I feel like because I do sessions every day, I've gotten to the point where I can just kind of, I don't know, I can put time on my calendar and make a song that day. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, trying to specifically, it's tough. When it's a business that is your passion, something that you love to do, that you would be doing anyways, it's easy to just always do it. But I try to very specifically make myself not write on the weekends, just to have some time for myself and to have some balance. I think that's really big. Yeah, talking about the burnout, preventing the burnout, I guess I say that through experience of like, I've been doing this so long that I've had a lot of like hard truths, I guess. I've hit burnout super hard in the past. I've had times where income was super unpredictable. I don't know, when things are going good, sometimes you just keep going and going and going, and then you crash, you get depressed, you get upset about whatever, and your music stops. And it's really hard to keep, I don't know, in a creative world, you have to really treat your physical and mental health like part of like your most important asset. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not feeling good enough to put out the quality work, I'm not gonna make money. I don't know. I've had times where I've worked too hard, got burnt out. I've had times where I've been mid-burnout and not worked at all, especially in the early days when I had a lot less discipline. The income being really predictable is hard. It's much easier said than done, obviously, but if you can save and budget and learn what it costs for you to live, that makes a whole lot of difference. Like, I don't know, I've done it enough years now that I can look back in my like Excel doc of all my income and see like, okay, here's what I normally make per year or per month, or like this is like a busier month or a slower month. But a lot of times that gets flipped on its head. Basically anymore, if I have a big month, I'm saving as much as I possibly can, because even if you're feeling great, it's like feast or famine. You feel like a king, you're excited, you're going out, you're spending more money than you usually would. Then when you get a slow month, you get hit with that and you're out on, I don't know. And I've really learned my lesson with that. When I lived in New York, rent was so expensive there. It was really hard to get by. Everything costs a lot of money. There's no like third spaces to hang out that aren't like a bar or somewhere that you're spending money just to be. And living there on top of like having a lot of career growth at the time, seeing a lot of other people in my like vicinity start to like really make it in their music careers, it gave me this blind confidence of like, okay, this is like, I can spend however much because it's going to come back to me. Of like, okay, it doesn't matter what I spend now because next month I'm getting this song with this artist and I'm going to make this much money. And I was like, it's almost like gambling in a way. Like, you do bet on yourself. Like, inherently I'm betting on myself right now, but it was a lot more risk then. And I wound up leaving the city with like way more debt than I would like to have. And like, I think that it is normal. That is something that like, I don't know, in any business, like you look at the stats, like businesses are in the red for a little bit until they make it. But it's a lot scarier and a lot more like risk when it is like a sole person, when it's just you, and you have to really be smart about that. I've learned like sometimes you have to know when it is the smart move to take the risk and be like, oh well, like I need this gear, or I need to make it to this show to do X thing that will advance my career. But then it's also important to know the times where it's like, okay, I need to save, I need to have my emergency fund, I need to be prepared for the month that is slower, because it's really hit me hard in the past, and I've recovered from it. But I've recovered from it like physically, but like mentally, I don't know. It's tough. You don't want to dig yourself into a hole for the sake of your art. I think that the grind set, the music world, all of that will be like, give it your all, do this, do that, but be smart. You have to save. You have to think about the future, even when you're younger. Like, make a savings account, make a Roth IRA. If you are fully freelance, you have to be thinking about your retirement. I put, even if it's a small amount for a month, like I'll put as much as I can every month into my Roth IRA just to think about retirement. Like, I know that I want to be working freelance in music for the foreseeable future, so I need to be paying into myself as if that's the case. Another thing is that you need to be confident with your rates. It comes with time, but learning to say no, learning to set your rates at what feels fair makes a huge difference. Like, in the beginning, like I said, when I was charging like $40, $50 a mix, which is crazy to say, like, the only way for that to like genuinely be worth your time is if you're only spending like a little bit of time on something. And I don't know, the higher that you can set your rate, the more time that you feasibly can put, like the more you can spend working on the project without wasting time. And that has been a point where I've really been able to just like up the quality of my work. Yeah, all that rambling aside, I kind of want to think through like all that I said. Like, if I were to do this again today, what would I do? What would I do to have a freelance music career? I think if I like really summed up all the points here, if I could do it over again with everything that I know, I would start off with just taking one thing that I want to focus on at first. Whether that is like I did, focusing on like emo rap and like the umbrella within that of like producing, mixing, mastering, being an artist within that. Or like, oh, I'm going to be a really good metal engineer, or I'm going to be a really good drummer slash like drum recorder. I'm going to be a really good guitarist for hire. I'm just going to really focus in on that, do as much as I can within this world, learn everything I can about it, make it known that I'm doing that by just posting content as much as I can, make a portfolio out of the work, like how I did with like mixing for my friends, doing some free work to get a portfolio that accurately shows what I can do, what I'm capable of. And then through that, I would just go about it. I would find a way to creatively like find your voice online, post consistently, reach out to people, maybe make a goal of like, I'm going to find 10 people a week that I'm going to try to message about making music with. And I want to stress, like, don't do it through like the Gary V style, like more people go in and cold call all these people. Like, genuinely, like, find people similar to you, find people that you relate with, find people that you think you could be friends with, find a community. Like, that is what has really made this happen for me, is that, like, I don't know, genuine relationships, genuine people. Like, try to build your community, build your world, build your family, you know what I mean? Reach out to 10 people a week and try to find that. Be genuine, be real. And I think that a lot follows with that. And then lastly, what I've learned within the past year is just like posting your process online, whether it's making YouTube videos, whether it's posting TikToks, YouTube shorts, whether it is doing a blog, whether it is, I don't know, find a way to just consistently post what you're doing. I think that that's kind of redundant from my other steps of like letting people know what you're doing, but like it just kind of, it all snowballs. I think that you do these steps and just consistently go at it, schedule your time, and like just be diligent and be disciplined. I think in due time you will get there. It will naturally expand the people you work with, expand your skill set, expand your taste, expand what you do, and you'll just zoom out, and all of a sudden you'll be a few years into it, and you'll know it, you'll understand it, you'll be like doing the thing. So yeah, it's not about luck, it's not about grinding, it's not about putting in crazy work, it's just about like showing up consistently. It's about having a plan, sticking to that plan, and when there's highs, when there's lows, just keep on going. Being able to trust the process, but also being able to zoom out enough to see when the process is swaying one way or the other and correcting course. It's just a matter of doing it over and over until it finds its way. It sounds corny, but it really is. It's like life advice in general, but that's what gets you to this point. Or if you watched it through this video to this point, really appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I hope this hasn't been too hard to follow. I'm not used to these scripted videos, and this is like a rough script of me trying to talk about things because like there's a lot of points I want to talk about here. That being said, I appreciate it. If you want more flowy videos, if you want more work of me in the studio, if you would like to just hear more about my process in general, please subscribe to my channel, give me a follow, check out more of what I'm doing, check out my links in the description for my Patreon, for my Discord, just staying a part of the community. Appreciate you all. I hope this video was helpful and informative to you guys, and that all being said, peace out.